Testing, testing, testing. Blah, 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 blah.
Ready, set, go.
It's time for the Coach Amy and Coach Liz show.
A podcast for endurance athletes by two athletes, two coaches, and a physical therapist.
We are your hosts, Coach Amy
And Coach Liz.
coming to you from
Kansas City.
We're going to talk about developing balance in the water and using different strokes so that you can move your joints in different directions. Liz will be leading that up, of course. Let's hear it.
Well, I just was going to talk about doing alternative strokes from freestyle in the water.
Such as?
I mean, there are four like competitive strokes. There's freestyle, which is what we swim in triathlon most of all.
And you're suggesting that triathletes work on these other strokes.
Yeah, at some point.
Okay.
You know, the front crawl. I've had a couple. Breaststroke is the second one that people are probably most familiar with, and then there's backstroke and butterfly. But there's even side stroke. There's just floating on the back. I mean, it really the idea behind doing some alternative strokes other than freestyle in the water, especially during your off season, is not necessarily to master those strokes. Really, it is for two reasons I recommend it. And this is for somebody that's, you need to be at a certain point in your swim development before this really makes sense. You want to be comfortable with freestyle. Maybe you're still struggling a little bit with balance, but you have the basics down for freestyle where you're comfortable enough with that before you're trying to throw in these other curveballs. Like, this is a next step up. But doing some of those alternative strokes for two reasons. One, the whole thing with being able to swim freestyle effectively is to be able to not sink, right? You don't want to be able to sink. It's called body balance is how you say that. We do that in freestyle by pressing your chest down to help elevate the hips and the legs, and finding that balance in the water. It keeps you aerodynamic. It allows your legs to stay out of the way so that you can get more out of your freestyle pull, all of that sort of stuff. But that position in the water is something that your body learns to do, and the more you do it, the better you do it without having to think about it, right? To sort of expedite or to level that ability up, you want to be able to do that in all directions in the water so that you can find your balance no matter what direction, where your position in the water. And so doing things like trying to kick on your back, or trying some backstroke, or trying some, single arm butterfly, not double arm, that just, the risk of shoulders, or some breaststroke, or even some side stroke, and just practicing moving in different directions in the water so that you can learn to find that balance. It's not even so much about doing those strokes correctly. It is just simply challenging that balance a little bit in the water, because that will ultimately help your body hone its ability to find that balance, and then you'll see that in your freestyle. The other thing that it's really good for is moving the joints in a different direction.
I love that you're talking about that, because that is such a physical therapy principle.
Well, it is.
To get out of how you're always moving and training in one plane,
and especially triathletes, and you've got everything that's that forward moving,
plane,
right?
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I used to do with my coach was like in the off season for running is to do like things that like in the middle of the run that would like move me in different directions. Like I might walk backwards, I might skip, I might do some side to side, or like some, do some of that grapevine movements or things to get those joints moving in different directions. And the thing about swimming is that, you can move the joints backwards, sideways, all of these different things, and you're supported by the water. And so it's gentle movement of those joints in different directions, which is just good for the body, kind of opening things up.
Love it.
And so it's not pretty. Like, those different strokes are not pretty for most triathletes, and it's also good for just mental stimulation. Like, just do a couple strokes, do like 5 or 10 seconds of something like that. It doesn't need to be a whole thing, but it just introduces some new stuff to the body that will ultimately come back to help your freestyle.
Yeah, I like that. And then, when I was first getting back, learning to swim as an adult and doing the triathlon stuff, David was helping me. My husband was helping me first. And, I was having issues with clearing the goggles, and they were getting foggy, or they were getting water in them. And he said, oh, you just, he's like a fish in water. He's like, oh, you just need to flip over onto your back and float and kick a little bit, and then take the goggles off and do all this stuff. And I was like,
right.
You can do that. but I can't. And I finally found my balance in the water in the freestyle. I haven't even gone back to the back, you know, but it would be really helpful to be able to do what he was suggesting, you know, because I was fighting with those goggles. So it would be helpful to be able to do that. So I can see a really good
I mean,
reason
oh my gosh,
behind
if you get kicked in the face during a triathlon, like, and you need to, you know, do
catch
some
your
breaststroke
breath
or like look for the sighting buoy. I mean, you could definitely translate that into actual open water swim skills.
Yeah. So
thanks so much for listening. And remember,
we are in this together. Until next time.